So today we shall finish up the discussion which was scheduled to be a very simple presentation of discrete Fourier transform, and obviously its inverse. In last two sessions we have come to a simple conclusion that the discrete Fourier transform simply gets reduced to just one n-point sequence into another one with the help of n into n matrix. Only thing is that we presume everything in this, including original sequence, transform sequence and the matrix, to be comprised of two-dimensional quantities. These two dimensions help us a lot, that also we can see today. And once the matrix is invertible, there can be multiple ways of arranging the matrix in order to extract the information or the required information from the original signal. As can be very clearly noted down, that once I have a concept of, say, 4-point sequence, the 4 points will convey me something. When I look at the points themselves, they convey me something. Actually, as can be very easily interpreted, their bar chart, because of some natural intelligence involved in human being, a look at bar chart, some hidden transformation takes place, and that itself gives me some information to my brain cells. Are you getting me? Rather than just looking at the values, if I don't plot them, I may not get an immediate meaning. But the moment at which I plot a bar chart of the samples, no transformation process is being followed. However, that bar chart itself provides me some information. So, in a way which cannot be codified appropriately, there is no possibility of preparing a matrix for that kind of process. My understanding itself involves a signal transform. I hope you are getting me. When I plot the bar chart, for example, for the signal xn as 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1, the moment at which I plot the bar chart, 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. I have not at all added new thing, simple plot. But by that plot, I start get a feeling of something changing like this. Are you getting me? Something changing like this, and if the number of points are more, then that kind of impact is more. So I immediately find that the average is 0. With all this, are you getting me? So when I look at the graph, some hidden transformation takes place. Only thing is that the xk's are not that way computationally formulated, but I get a feel. Just like when an expert doctor examines the patient, merely by his Nadi Pariksha, he is able to plot various components. These are the diseases, and by just having his hand, he is able to plot which diseases are having more magnitude. Likewise, a look of an expert at the graph provides it. But to have it in a more codified way, we have a matrix form. And then you are at liberty to have many such combination of this non-singular or invertible matrix. If the matrix is not invertible, then that transformation is not that way useful. It may be useful in some other cases, but we should take it as a simple presumption that the matrix must be invertible. Once the matrix is invertible, you are at liberty to decide the various values, various elements of the matrix. Now, as can be seen that when my n is equal to 1, transformation is not a transformation, it is scaling. When my n is equal to 2, I find that the transformation of the original points is sum and difference. Is sum as the first and difference as the second element. But when I go to 4, what I'm doing is I'm moving in more detail. But again I have a simple one. When I have n equal to 4, my Wn is occupied on the y or imaginary axis. So its indexing either takes me to an imaginary axis or a real axis. So the elements in the matrix are either purely real or purely imaginary, not a combination of them. And for n equal to 8 onwards, we get a combination of them. So now I can very easily see by looking at what x0 capital X0 represents. Their sum. Capital X0 is the sum. What capital X1 is? Capital X1 now, capital X1 represents me. What it represents me? Can somebody tell? Capital X1, what difference? What difference? Difference of first and third. So that the difference of first and third means inter-sample variation, but the samples in which this inter-sample variation is to be computed are apart with different distance. So various xk's try to compute inter-sample variation, but it is not between current and next sample. Inter-sample, the distance in samples varies. Now when I look at inter-sample variation, in this case, the distance is 2. The distance is 2. That is from here to here and from here to here. Now, here two-dimensional things help me. Otherwise, what would happen? Otherwise, inter-sample distance, there may be some distance between first and third. There may be some other distance between second and fourth. If I simply sum them, then I will not be able to distinguish between situations where there is no variation or mutually cancelling variation. Means if first and third difference is 2 and second and fourth difference is -2, I get net at 0. Or if both differences are 0, still I get at 0. Here, Z gives me what? Z gives me here that the values are 1 and -1 and it is Z minus and Z. So what I am getting is x0 minus x2 and x1 minus x3 together. I am getting x0 minus x2 and x1 minus x3 together. So Z is just helping me that a single number x1 capital X1 is actually just a collection of two numbers. So capital X1 provides me not the difference but these two differences. Capital X1 provides me the two differences between X0 and X2 and X2 and X3. That is very important because that gives me whether that difference is a commonly pattern spread over the entire range of the signal. It's X1. So what I get in X1, when I look at capital X1, I get this. Then capital X2, what capital X2 provides me?
Difference of the differences. No, at some of the differences.
It provides me the sum of the differences, current and next. Current and next. Is it clear? Sum of the differences. So, what is happening with the current difference and immediate next difference? So, it is, but current and next between these two and these two. Between these two and then these two. Not these two, then these two, then these two. Not like that. Just first two, next two. And what this provides me is actually some replica of this. Some replica of this. So I have taken 4 cases of Xn 1 1 1 1, 1 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1 1 minus 1, and 1 minus 1 minus 1. So there I can very easily see what are the various xk's. It is capital X0. This is the xk part. So from that I can very easily find that, so ultimately when I look at capital Xk in continuation with the discussion which was there in the first part, today is the third and last part, so that you would be very much sad that there is no further part. As Gandhiji used to say, a question was asked, why you travel by third class? He used to travel by third class for the train. Then his obvious answer was, since there is no fourth class, I am traveling by third class. So you should be very much sad that there is no part 4. Okay, forgetting about this lighter comment. Xk is what again? Just a repetition of the first part lecture. Weighted sum of
all x of them.
All of them. Weighted sum of all of them. But when it is said that weighted sum of all of them, that will make weights can be anything. Weights can be anything. If you allow any combination of weights with only condition that the matrix must be non-singular or invertible, then you can lead to various transforms. Each student will have own transform. TY electronics 45 can be Sani transform. In the sense what? There will be now an ample opportunity to decide the matrix elements. What is the condition? Sample is a 2-dimensional sequence, maybe most of the time 1-dimensional. Transform can be a 2-dimensional sequence, and the elements can be 2-dimensional. So in the form of A plus JB. once we ensure invertibility, after that you can have various combinations. There is no bar. But merely because that can be done, that doesn't mean that all these transforms should become popular. Therefore, for transform to become popular or meaningful, what is important is that what we are doing, we are studying the variation. So if we give arbitrary weights to various samples, in that case, rather than giving me information about particular variation in the signal, what I will be getting is in a way something connected to my weights only. If my weights are varying over a large range and my one particular weight is much more, in that case you use a blank paper for design. If I am having weights, one weight much more than the other or two weights much more than the other magnitude, in that case ultimately what will result in is that the various xk's will reflect more about the weights than the variation in the signal. If weights are two extreme sides. Therefore, so as to provide the information of the signal, the discrete Fourier transform has provided or has imposed one more condition on weights, the matrix elements. What is that condition? The condition capital Xk is summation of some Wn xn, where Wn are the weights, which is equal to capital Wn raised to minus nk. So capital Wn raised to nk. So what is one more restriction which has got automatically imposed on the elements of the weight matrix? What is that? Anybody? Wn raised to something, so that multiple. So what is that? What is the basic property of capital Wn? Where it lies? It lies on unit circle whose magnitude is 1. Therefore, the question that the particular xk giving me more information about the weights which I have chosen is not there. So all elements in the matrix are having a magnitude 1, or those are lying on unit circle, and also those are uniformly spread in every row. So these things means what I find is I find unique repetitive pattern in the elements of the matrix, and that pattern is a complete pattern. So I can say that the discrete Fourier transform completely transforms the information in sample domain into what we can say to be like a frequency domain, which we may not understand immediately, but if we make a good thinking, then we will be definitely coming to a good conclusion. So what we can see as we move higher and higher, these are the high frequency components. So in the first signal, I only have DC component, no upper frequency components. In the second signal, DC component is 0. In the second signal, DC component is 0, and we have these two. So this I have and this I have. These two I am having. So what we mean by, I hope that you have just checked this to be perfect. There are no issues about this. So these two, it is 2 minus 2j and 2 plus 2j. So can you give me some meaning out of these things? That what is the significance of the component of x1 and component of x3? Component of x1 and component of x3. Both are there. You know what? Complex conjugates. These are complex conjugates. So, by complex conjugates, what we mean? So effectively now, if we look at weights here, 1, 1, 1, 1, not moving at all. Not moving at all. Weights not moving. Then for the next row, 1 minus z, 1 minus z, minus 1 plus z. Right? For this,
180.
I can say that moving fast, moving fast. First, no moving, steady. Second, moving. Right? Is it clear? Third, doubling the speed.
Very fast.
Doubling the speed. And now that is x first or 0th row we can say. First row, second row. So no moving. I am moving at some speed, doubling the speed.
Again, adding the speed.
But tripling the speed now. So when I triple the speed, I find tripling the speed takes me, you might, even though it cannot be exactly matched with that concept, but you can look to a very broadly similar that of aliasing. Broadly, not exactly in the connection, but broadly similar to aliasing. How? So we find that tripling, first of all moving like this. Now it is moving in what fashion? So fast clockwise. A mischievous fellow can say that it is slow anti-clockwise. Because what is seen, this is to be seen, this movement is not required to be seen. If only I have a projector and I see the phasor. First point I see, then second point I see as this, third point I see as this, fourth point I see as this. Then nobody means only one eccentric fellow who is, what we can say, highly tuned himself to such discrete signal processing, signal and system, phasor rotation, concept of the unidirectional speed in phasor notation, will only conclude that the speed is fast. But every normal fellow will find that means when I look this position and then this position, only an eccentric fellow who is completely tuned to this only will see that it is moving at this rate. But everybody else will see that slow anti-clockwise. Is it clear? So if I increase the speed further, here that row is not there. But if it is increased by 4 times, what happens? 1. Same. So here I can see that it doesn't move, it repeats, it doesn't move. If I make it 5 times, it gets aligned to first. So from here, so I can see only this. So once I move beyond 4 and beyond, things are easily perceivable by me. But when I triple the speed, no speed, unit speed, double speed, triple speed. So triple speed is minus unit speed. Are you getting me? For this row, unit speed. For this row, double speed. We are doing clockwise. And triple speed is minus unit speed. And because of that, I find that I am getting somewhat more information. Somewhat more information. Now the question is, this and this. So, is it possible? I will just ask a simple question. Suppose if you are given x capital 1. What you are given? You are not given the signal. You are not given the signal xn. It's a very simple question that will give me whether do I have something redundant. You are not given xn is some xn is there, which is hidden from you. You got me? Xn is there, which is hidden from you. Then, as regards to xk, you are given, say, x0 is given to you, x1 is given to you, and x2 is given to you. That's all. Now my question is, can you construct x3?
No, sir.
Why not?
Sir, because सर नायक्विस्ट क्रायटेरियावर नाही.
No.
हां सर 100%. कारण सर 3 पॉइंट पासून आपण 4 पॉइंट हे करतो ना सर.
Nyquist means entering into Nyquist criteria again will maybe defeat the very purpose of these 3 parts. Just simplify that means we have just kept all these things aside and moving ahead. Sampling theorem, Nyquist criteria, reconstruction, then discrete time Fourier transform, all you kept aside. A simple question. Can we construct x3 from x1? Because why? Because the weights which I am having are just complex conjugates. Not complex conjugates. Weights are complex conjugates. But weights I see this. So can I?
not for every signal.
So what I can say, what is a capital X1? Capital X1 is what? X0 minus X2, right? Minus Z into bracket X1 minus X3, right? So, and what is X3 then? X3 is X0 minus X2 plus Z into bracket X1 minus X3. So, I think I put before you a very fundamental question. I know X1. Can I find X3?
If the signal comprises of only what I can say, real components, real parts, then we can. But if the signal itself is a two-dimensional,
Right.
so then we can't. It won't be just simple complex conjugate.
So, what we are having, if this difference is real, if this difference is real and this difference is real, if in the original signal this difference is real and this difference is real, then these two are complex conjugates of each other. If see, these are not complex conjugates right now. These would be complex conjugates if this means I can have a number x and y, a plus jb and a minus jb. What is the condition for a plus jb and a minus jb to be complex conjugates of each other?
A and B real.
A and B should be real. A and B should be real. If these are not, can you give me a simple example? Can you give me a simple example?
G. Just take G.
A is
equal
what?
to J, B equal to J.
A equal to J
B equal to J.
and B equal to Z. What will happen?
J minus 1 होते हैं आणि इकडं
If
J
A equal to Z and B equal to Z, then this would be
J minus 1.
J
Minus 1.
minus 1,
J plus 1.
J,
Plus 1.
right? Is it perfect now?
Yes, sir.
And these are not complex conjugates. These are now, or they are complex conjugates?
No, sir. They are not, sir. Minus 1 plus J some complex conjugates are minus 1 minus J.
So these we can define to be inverse complex conjugates. Agreed? These we can define to be inverse complex conjugates. So that will take place if
Pure imaginary.
A and B are either real or imaginary. In that case, such inverse complex conjugate may come. But if A and B are complex,
We can't
Then-
do anything about it.
we cannot. Therefore, if my original signal x n is real, in that case x3 will be redundant. In that case, redundant means it can be extracted from x1. Actually, what we can have is, can you also represent what happens now? X0 and x2 both become real. for real signal, capital X0 and capital X2 both become real, and capital X1 and capital X3 become complex conjugates. So if I look at a 2D space, I have redundancy. So actually the one-dimensional signal can be looked as two-dimensional signal with half number of samples. A 4-point real XN can be looked as a 2-point complex XN. 2-point complex XN. So there is redundancy. Or I can have an 8-point real sequence and convert it into 4-point complex sequence, and then there will be no redundancy. So I am very much sure that even though I have got the variation as this one, the space as steady, this, then this, and then this. Even though I am looking at aliasing, it is aliasing like, or there is redundancy if my signal is real, otherwise not. So I think that I hope that now there is no question of finding out inverse DFT, because straight away if you pre-multiply both sides by the inverse of the matrix, you will be getting the signal as that inverse matrix into the capital DFT. And obviously in the inverse matrix there will be some, the 1 upon n will be automatically embedded in the inverse matrix. Is it clear? So I am sure that the discussion in last few days have given you an independent view towards DFT. Even though my sample space now is can be two-dimensional, I usually have one-dimensional. I usually have one-dimensional sample space. So when I have one-dimensional sample space, I get it's DFT. Now I can write, I would close the lecture with the closing remark. I can now, I have Xn transform to Xk. So it has got n values. I can write it as only one Xk I will consider at a time. Only one Xk I will consider at a time. Capital X0 and others are 0. Capital X1, others are 0. Right? And of each I will find inverse transform. And when I find inverse transform of each, these are the partial sequences corresponding to each component of Xk. And those partial sequences will give you what you can look in the signal. Signal, I have Xn as the sequence. I can look it to be comprised of partial sequences. Even though my Xn is a real sequence, my partial sequence can be complex. I hope this is a very important closing remark. Now I can look at the phasor. Otherwise, I do not have any scope in looking at the phasor. Why? Because
Phasor is two-dimensional.
it's a phasor two-dimensional space. So X means what I have done: X0, X1, X2, and X3. I had an original sequence, sample space, which I have converted to X0, X1, X2, and X3. Now this I can look as, you got it now? Okay, and each you can now transform. That we will have x0n, x subscript 0n plus x subscript 1n plus x subscript 2n plus x subscript 3n. Right? That is inverse DFT of this. Inverse DFT of this. So these are the partial sequences. These are the partial sequences. So partial sequences will have this, will have magnitude also and phase also, or we can say this would be 2D, means it will move in the, it may move in the entire plane or maybe on the axis. But that will give me, means when I look at xn, and you can plot x0n, x1n, x2n, and that will, but those plots will 2D plot, maybe 2D plots. So x0n, x1n, x2n, x3n, you have to plot like it will be, you can't, for that you will be required. If you are quite interested, then we can have bar chart for x0 sequence x2. So what you can have? You can have circles. You can have circles, and you will plot circles to show you the, what we can say, unit circle, and then maybe somewhere, and like this you should have. So maybe like this. Right? X0n, x1n, x2n, x3. In some cases it may lie on real axis. Means if it is real axis, means you should look at this. Means when it is real, in bar chart it would have look like this. But here real axis is horizontal. So that much. What we can say, your own understanding of looking at the values, you should, means what is important is the diagonal distance and the amplitude. You should look at the diagonal distance. So these are the components, and what these components indicate? These components indicate what will happen if capital X0 would have been 1. If capital X0 would have been 1, what would happen? If capital X1 would have been 1, what would happen? If capital X2 would have been 1, what would happen? And like that. So they would have, if all of them would have been 1, if xk entirely is 1, what will be x0n, x1n, x2n, x3n? That you will get first. If all xk is 1, you find out x0n, x1n, x2n, and x3n. And then, depending upon actual value of xk, you have to just multiply it. So it would be a 2D plot, and I am sure that once you get a good handle about this, those who are having somewhat inclination towards this thinking will be plotting these. You can prepare one GUI. You can prepare one GUI, user-friendly interface, and this you can. If it is 16, it is difficult, but 8 would be enough. So 8-point sequence, various 8-point sequences, and finding out their partial sequences. Means xk's are the components in xn. Xk, what is component? Component is that part, or I can look capital Xn to be comprised of 8 partial sequences. there is a typical way with which the partial sequence 0 moves. There is a typical way with which the partial sequence 1 moves. And those partial sequences are present by how much amount? So x0n to x7n will give you that the partial sequence corresponding to 0 is present by factor of capital X0. Partial sequence x1n is present by factor of capital X1. So capital X0 to capital X7 or Xk in general are the strengths of the basic signals which are moving in a particular manner. So these are the components. Component X0 means component corresponding to capital X0, component corresponding to capital X1, and so on. So I hope that how to extract the components from the signal I have told, and then after extracting the components, what should be the significance of the component to me? So that component will form its own partial sequence. Means discrete Fourier transform tells me to look a capital N point sequence to be comprised of capital N partial sequences wherein each component or each partial sequence provides me the information about the presence of